Hello, everybody over the internet. Good to see you again. Today is the highly awaited Domotz download for Q4 2025. Can you imagine? 2025 is almost over, and a lot of you are probably thinking, yes, my clients get budget in a few more months, right? Or it could be frowny face because it's QBR season 2, and we all know how difficult that could be. So, getting started, the Domotz download. What are we talking about today, Destiny? RBAC, device profiles, and a little bit more that's coming. A few sneak peeks.
Definitely more.
There's a lot more that's coming, and hopefully we don't spill too many beans here, but a lot to get excited about. But for now, I know you're probably wondering, who is this guy? I'm used to the other guy that presents. And you're right, Jace, like me, also kind of handsome guy. But for today, you're going to be seeing two of us up front and a little someone behind the scenes. So, first of all, needing no introduction, Destiny Bertucci, our network monitoring veteran, educator, leader, and overall great person and mentor, both to you and internally to all of us. And for me, I know you're thinking, marketing guy again, right? I'm Antonio Neglia, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Domotz. But after following up, hearing all these great things about Destiny, you might as well just call me Guy from marketing. So for today, we have in the chat ready to support Mr. Chris, Principal Product Manager. So if you have any questions, if you need any resources, let Chris know in the chat. Also, fun fact, when you upload his picture into PowerPoint, he's also known as Man with Beard Smiling. And I bet he's smiling right now. So what are we talking about today, Destiny? Number one, we listened very hard and very well, and we're happy to deliver on a lot of the community's feedback with some new introductions into the product that everyone's been asking for. So number one, or number two on this slide, being role-based access control. We're going to learn a little bit about that, the problems leading up to that, and then why you wanted it. And then we're going to follow that up with an amazing demo from Destiny. We're going to jump into device profiles, have another amazing demo from Destiny. We're going to recap some new things that have recently launched. So if you're not reading your emails, that upsets us. But we're going to recap those things anyway and give you a little bit of a hint as to what's coming next. And then, of course, questions and answer period. So, number one, we've heard your feedback. Well, what was your feedback? Before we get into that, we want you to know that it actually matters. So, Destiny, myself, everyone else in the organization spends a lot of time interfacing with you. So, MSPs, IT professionals, anybody. And we learn a lot about your challenges. So, there were 4 key areas here. You wanted safer delegation of access. You wanted a faster, more consistent device setup experience. You wanted more clear visibility into your networks that you manage. Could be one, could be many. And you wanted less ticket noise in PSA systems, right? So, Destiny, what do you think about this? We've heard this for a little while now. What does it mean that we're actually delivering on this?
I've been in monitoring for over 22 years, and it's the same things that I've heard whether you had RBAC or not. So it's one of the things of like, are you using the tools that you have to the best of your ability? And what we found is some people just don't understand how to get these to work for them. And sometimes they feel like they're working against you. So Chris has done an amazing job in the engineering team at Domotz, really listening to some of the levers that you had to pull, some of the things that you guys have to actually do and make that more granular, but also a little high level so that we can actually do it from a pyramid type way. You know, let's get some rules, let's go in some groups, and we're going to users. And I'm already getting ahead of my demo, but I wanted to make sure you guys stay here. But, and even with PSAs, one of the things that they say is, you know, hey, I'm overloading. I'm not being able to do this. We're collapsing them. We're able to actually, you know, get the alert dependency to be in there and working with your other tools instead of creating noise. And I think that's something that's very valid. And also visibility. I mean, if you guys are understanding, I mean, you literally with Domotz, you're only going to have to pay for what you're wanting to manage and take to that next step. But you still have full visibility and you're able to actually see the topology and use the actual information in front of you as a whole. So definitely your feedback matters, and we are putting it in there. The PMs here and the engineering team are listening, and they're trying their best to make sure they're actually solving a problem and not just giving you work.
Exactly. And I think in summary too, everyone's really wanted Domotz to be smarter, safer, more scalable as they grow. And then the common theme too that we heard a lot was, can we have RBAC? Can we have device profiles? It happened like every other conversation, maybe every single one, especially with RBAC. And it came up often. So guess what? We did it. What did we do? We delivered. So that's it. We should technically just end it right now because we did what you asked, right? So thanks. See you all soon. But don't leave. We are very needy and we need you with us for at least the rest of the hour. So don't leave. So before we get into this, I know that we have viewers all over the planet right now that are joining us. So if you're in the USA, Canada, New Zealand, somewhere in Europe, let us know in the chat if you can. And I know you've been asked this a million times. Let us know what the weather's like. Let us know why you're here, what you want to learn. But we're going to try something different. So if you can put your first name and your last name, your billing information, and your credit card information, you can just send it right to me. But don't, right? That's not a good thing. So don't do that. But to get into this, role-based access control, what is it? You've asked for it. You wanted tighter access control. You wanted better security. And you wanted more confidence as you manage and scale with your networks. But I know what you're thinking. Hey, what's your problem? That was a pretty harsh intro there. I'm going to follow up with that and ask you, what's your problem? And I know it sounds a little aggressive, but that's how every single conversation kind of starts when we're speaking with anyone in the community. So after asking this question, we've kind of come up to the same resolution here. And it's that you all know the risks of giving the wrong person way too much access. So these kind of missteps create downtime for you. They expose sensitive data, either your own or customers or your organizations. And they leave you scrambling during audits for compliance or internal audits too. So you're struggling with this all the time. And in the real world, it kind of comes off like this. You don't have a safe way to delegate access or responsibilities to your teams, your partners, or you're showing your customers way too much in QBRs or in different meetings. You fall into this all or nothing approach to permissions, so the permissions buffet is wide open. You have operational risks and compliance headaches that just keep getting worse. And there wasn't any sort of way to mitigate this in Domotz until now. But I know what you're thinking. What's the deal with all of this white space on this side? Well, we discovered these buckets. And what are these buckets? It's where you fall into and you're treading water and you're trying to escape, a pretty grim scenario here. So I'll let Destiny jump into this in a second, but I'm going to share a few of my favorites here. So the over permission intern, you have someone new joining your team, could be a co-op student too, could be some new hire, and you give them a little bit too much access and they accidentally reboot a critical switch during peak hours. Maybe not great if it's a hospital system, educational system, right? It could be a very small business that's doing their best to survive, takes out the internet, not great. The super user / God mode for everyone policy, love it when it happens to a user, not so much for the organization. So all technicians have a full access account, one without clearance views the customer sensitive data that they're not allowed to see, and they potentially share it in a screen share while doing a demo. Not too great. Oops. The audit nightmare, this one's pretty self-explanatory. And this one's pretty relatable. The please hurt me plenty growing pains. For me, I grew up to be 6'1", so this hurt a lot, but this hurts a lot worse. An internal IT team doubled in size over the past year or so. Some of your users have limited access and can't perform their job duties effectively. It's not great. It hurts your employees' morale. It hurts your bottom line too because you're focusing on doing the wrong things at the wrong time. And you have a hell of a lot more to be doing instead of just trying to get Domotz to work for you in a way that is going to work. So Destiny, with these kind of conversations that we've been having, what kind of pokes out to you?
Well, I think that a lot of the things, and I'm sure some of the ones in the chat, and please let us know on your guys' side too, all of these have happened at one point or time that we have been here, right? And so over permission intern happens all the time. I also like to think a contractor, right? Like, so I've had a lot of things where I've dealt with contractors who either get left with permissions after they've gone, or they've over permissioned to just get your work done, right? That's some of the things that happen. The super God mode happens all the time. And when you're not able to actually pull some of those levers, you don't really know what's lacking or where everybody is at or what the policy is. And we kind of start getting a lot of that shadow IT stuff in a lot of our programs. And for the auditing, like me as a security person too, it's a nightmare. Like, especially when you go in and you see that people have given all permissions to all users, giving everything of which that is out. Or people who are actually supposed to be having permissions that don't. So what do? They sometimes ask, hey, I got to be able to get into this program, or I need to be able to see this device, or I need to be able to change a config. And a friend or teammate will literally sit there and be like, well, here's my username, password, just go, because it's easier to just give you access in a way that so that you can do your work so that I don't have to deal with this or try to go down that road. Or time is a crunch, right? Time is money. And that is how you start seeing passwords getting exchanged. That's how you start getting over permission. You start seeing people using other things. And when you look at an audit trail, it's like, wait a minute, how are they logging in over here, but they're also logging in on a customer site? Like, what is going on? Like, how is this happening? And it creates a kind of a spaghetti ball nightmare, right? Or a yarn ball as well. It's like it creates all of these little links of everything that's going across there. And every time that we do that, we increase our attack vector. So by having RBAC, this is why we're trying to lean into these conversations so that we can at least help with your monitoring and management tool to make sure who is supposed to see something and who is not, and who can manage something and who cannot. What about if we think of it even at a higher level, like what collector can I see? And we'll get into a little bit more of that too, but we've all fallen into these buckets and we know that there's more, but these are the 4 that were definitely coming up where people are like, oh my gosh, this is a problem for me and we need to resolve this because we really want to use Domotz, but how do I do this? And I don't care what tool you use, RBAC should definitely be in there. So you should definitely be using this, assessing the situation quarterly.
Right, and it keeps you, your organization, and your employees protected as well, right? Think of it from another angle. You have a new person join your team and they're accessing the wrong things or they make a mistake, and then that kind of triggers the rest of the day not going well. So more mistakes snowball, and it creates that snowball effect where it starts small, ends up to be a bigger problem, right? So you can kind of mitigate those things as they happen and then try to ensure that you don't even end up in these situations in the future, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah.
Now, we know there's always this golden question that comes up. There must be a better way to do this, right? So in summary, we've had a lot of positive feedback, but we had a lot of very critical feedback where it kind of got condensed down to this statement. So there must be a better way to ensure I can safely delegate these responsibilities and permissions I'm after and ensure that people have the right level of access. So nothing more, nothing less. And then you can bring that into Domotz, and then the painful one always pops up. Can it be for free? The good news is, yes, it's for free. So introducing RBAC, role-based access control, ensures people, like I was just saying, have the right access. So nothing more, nothing less. And it does this in 4 different stages. So setting up granular role definitions. So you can tailor roles to specific permissions. So view, edit, managing different alerts. You can have that per individual if you want. So if you have someone in mind, you can assign them to a group or create a custom group and then have those permissions applied to them. Or you can create a custom group based off very specific role permissions or even pre-configured groups to help quickly get you started. So for example, and we'll cover this, if you want to have someone that only views billing information and manages nothing but, we have a pre-configured role or group that you can view and use right away. Read-only access has been huge, highly requested. This one pops up all the time. I just want to view that no one can touch anything. They can view it, and then I can show someone like a customer or someone else on an adjacent team what I'm looking at, but I don't want them to manage or touch any sort of sensitive information or mess around with device configurations. So on top of that, you also need access transparency so you can track who's changing what, who can do different things, and what they can see and not see. So it's good for internal auditing, making sure that the right people can see or manage the right things and none of the wrong things so you stay protected. And for example, if you haven't explored this already in the product yet, just a quick table to show you some of the things you can do. This is not an exhaustive list by any means. You have the category of things that you can view or manage, and then the permissions themselves within there. So for example, having billing details or branding can be viewed or managed. But say you want to have someone, say like a level 1 technician, level 2, and you want them to have a little bit more open access to things. Well, you can give them way more managed permissions at that point. And you can even go in and tweak things where you can have them add or delete collectors, but not go and view specific customer dashboards or monitoring dashboards that you've created. So you can get very, very granular with this, and you can help them pretty much scale with you and how your organization works. So we're not going to shoehorn you into using something that doesn't work for the way that your business wants it to work, right? So skipping ahead, why was everyone asking for this? Well, in short, hint, there's a long version coming. It wasn't just another feature or workflow you were all asking for. It's been something incredibly valuable that you're using, say, every day, and other tools or other systems that you've created yourself. And you wanted to do 4 different things. You wanted to minimize your operational risk, and you wanted to create a very solid security posture internally. You wanted to enable confident permission and access delegation, of course, while you grow and support your business. Or if you're working on a team, you want to protect yourself too, right? And you all want to simplify how you approach these things and then achieve compliance. And then what can you expect from this? And the long version, we're not going to go through every single example here, but breaking down a few different scenarios here, technicians can manage assigned network segments or collectors without visibility into other customers' environments. It's great if you have one person working with one specific customer. You can keep them focused here, not have them going and kind of loitering around different areas where they don't need to be. Keeps them focused and on track, right? Now, Destiny, you have a lot of experience with this. I would love to hear a little bit more about what you think about this and what you've heard as well throughout the last 20 or so years too.
Yeah, let's date me even some more, but that's fine. But anyway, yeah, so minimize the operational risk while strengthening your security posture. Yay, those are words, right? At the end of the day, am I only seeing what I'm supposed to? Can I assign what my techs need to see? I seen where Puck was in here as well, and he was like, hey, what about dashboards? Absolutely. Let's be able to get those dashboards honed down to where they can only see what they need to see. And as I will go through into the demo, I will also show you how we can group these, how we can do this so that we can actually use RBAC as well as profiles to help you hone in on some of the information that you're doing, especially with alerting, SNMP credentials, all the things, right? But the main thing that this is allowing you to do is to have a dashboard so you can actually have a confident level of looking at things and say, okay, this is why you're not able to see this. This is why I have something that is an overview that is going to tell me from a user standpoint, a grouping standpoint, as well as rules, right? I can tell exactly what you can or can't do. So it really gets into kind of some granularity there of like, hey, you know what? We have levers to pull, but this is exactly why we are doing this. When Chris was actually building this with the engineers, it was like, man, we have so much granularity into this. When people were asking for can I just give a view to my MSP? As an MSP, can I just give a view to my customer to let him know that everything's great? We all talk about it, right? The green management view. It's I just want them to see that things are great and that we're on top of it. We took it to plat. So it's more no, we can actually fine tune everything of which is going to come across there. And we'll be able to see that in the demo when I go over that. And I want to make sure we can get to that. But you're also supporting your growth, because once you start establishing your groups and your rules, then you're able to easily go in there and assign them to your user. You don't have to keep going back in there and creating a rule, creating a group, or doing anything. You can actually accumulate these up and assign them to users. So it's really nice to be able to have that operational growth that's in there. And then also compliance, right? Hey, are they supposed to be able to see collector A versus collector B? No. Why are they? Let's make sure that we have that. If as a security, you can go in and hit the overview, screenshot that. That's part of your documentation to support. No, they do not have over access. Or yes, they do. And we have to audit that, because we should always constantly be in our monitoring and management tools. And I'll let you go back over on this one, Antonio.
Yeah, so where do you go from this, right? And it's all about preventing problems, essentially. So it's protecting yourself, your organization, your teammates, the business, and even your customers, right? So we thought of a few cool examples here, But before we get into that, in the spirit of Halloween, do you have any horror stories that have popped up because you didn't have RBAC or you didn't have that in top of mind? Could be Domotz, could be any other tool or experience that you wish, things could have panned out a bit differently. Feel free to drop that into the comments. But for now, we came up with a few things, a few scenarios where RBAC definitely could have maybe prevented some bad outcomes. So a few pop culture references here. If you've played Halo 1, the original, you know the problem. The flood breaks containment thanks to the Covenant. Not great. Star Wars Episode 2, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, the prequels are awful, but they make a really good example in such an awful situation, such as Obi-Wan discovering entire planets were deleted from the Jedi archives. So if someone had the wrong permission set, if they had that properly in place, Kamino never goes missing, and we probably would have had a lot fewer movies. And Final Fantasy VII, of course, classic game. Shinra gives Sephiroth way too much read-only access to classified experiments, finds out that he is one, drives him mad like it would drive anyone else mad. So maybe restrict those permissions next time, right? But the moment you've all been waiting for, real world examples of what RBAC looks like, how you can set it up and get started. Destiny, if you don't mind taking us through a few examples.
Yeah, are you able to see my screen? Let me see here. Are you able to see my screen, Antonio?
We are good to go.
We are good to go. All right, I just wanted to make sure. All right, so this is where we would come into when you would go into your settings, you'd be able to see access management. If you do not, and it says Teams, you will have a lovely little note there that'll say, this is how we enable it. This is how we're going to be able to do some things, right? And then you'll be able to turn it on, and this beautiful view will come in without all of the users, of course, because you'll have to set those up. Now, I want you to think of this as a pyramid because it's also like in compliance rules from a security standpoint. Your rules, roles, right? Those, think of it that way. They are where you're going to be able to group, some people call them policies, right? To group them into there, and then you can apply them to your users. So I always like to think of it as a pyramid so that it also helps you to track. The reason for this is so that you can get that granularity and help your teams to really make sure what they can or can't do. You can also make it as easy as possible as you want, right? Like we're allowing you to have that customization that Domotz is known for when we have like integrations and scripting abilities, right? Well, we want to make sure that you're able to have this information too. So real quickly, I'm going to go through here and show you. When we go into the roles, you are able to see them, create them, or you can actually see like what groups they're applied to. So we're giving you that dashboard view to make sure that you have the control, you have the full understanding. We also have a learn more that you can quickly go out if you have any questions or concerns. Please use our bot too. If you have any questions that comes in there, we are here to help. And we want to make sure that you are thoroughly using this to the best of its advantage. But if I come in here to a role, I can define it. I'm able to even like quickly be like, hey, I just need view capabilities. And then I can come across here and I can uncheck what dashboard. Somebody was asking that earlier. Like, can I actually see this? Can I not? And I've seen somebody said it was hard to read. So let me see if I can make it a little bit better. Is that better? Somebody tell me like, yay, maybe something's going across.
That looks better.
Okay, that looks better. Cool. So now we are able to, when you go into your roles, you can hit the view. You can actually say maybe they need management. I can do this as holistically too. Like, hey, we need to do that. But if I wanted to go in granularly, I can be like, you know what? I don't want them to delete a device. You know what? I don't want them to be able to have VPN connections. You can make this as granular or as broad, right? That you want to do. So that's some of the things that would come across there. And so these are how we can actually do that. And then if I'm like, if I just want a role that is assigned, or maybe I need to be able to add this to a group, I can add this to an existing group. I can create groups here in a moment. These are the ways that we can get these to be applied that would come across there. And then let me go into the groups themselves. Once I start creating groups, then I can actually start saying, okay, what roles do I want them to be in? What users, if they are existing, right, that I want to add them to? So then I can pick my roles. Maybe I want them to have no permissions. Maybe this is somebody that's new that's coming in and I want them to have a new role that we've just set up. Maybe I want them to be an administrator. Maybe I want them to be a team member. I can still be able to apply these to these groups to make sure that they have their roles bound to them. I can add from here too, like be like, hey, maybe I forgot something. I need to add this. Maybe this is something that's going to come across here. Okay. So then those are some of the things that we can do. On a user, like I said, if a new user comes into me, I can add the user and apply the existing that we have because it's compliant and it's consistency, right? I don't want to necessarily have to always be creating roles, always creating things of which that comes across there. So if I'm going to create a user, I can say who it is. Am I going to make sure if they're going to be using two-factor optionally or mandatory? Let's please say mandatory. And then I can actually set their information up and add them to groups. You can even say in here, hey, I don't want to talk to Antonio anymore, right? Like these are some of the things that we can actually do in here. And then what the great thing is, like I was saying, I can look at their permissions as a whole. I can actually get an overview of what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do, so that I can actually make those decisions and make sure they have the correct roles. So then I can always look at these and be able to assign or to adjust as needed, right? Like this is some of the things that we can come across here and do. So what we want you to do is when you're looking at this, you can do it as easy, view, manage capabilities, or as more complex of like, I need more levers to actually pull. So that is what they're going to do. You can actually pull the levers. If you have customers of which that are out there that are like, I want to see what you guys are monitoring, give them a view only to a dashboard of which that you want them to see so that they can see that you have that ability to be able to do that information. Or I have a tech he's on the field tech. He needs to be able to manage on site. He needs to be able to manage when he's at his office, whether that's in the office or remotely. He needs some extended permissions that can come across there. Maybe he only needs them for a day. I can add that group or take that group away at ease, right? Like as an administrator, I can be able to give permissions and take permissions away so that you can make sure that you are compliant. But you also are making sure that you are not hindering them from doing their actual job. So that's like kind of the overarching of like what access management is. We have a blog that's on it. I know that Jace just put it in there into the stream, as well as we have a complete walkthrough of how to do this and get this set up. That's from Storylane, actually, that Antonio did. So we want to make sure that you're using this. And if you have questions or if you have anything that's coming across there, please let us know. Because Chris is going to be able to work on that. We're going to be able to make sure that everything is going in there correctly. We want you to use the tool is our purpose, right? Like we want you to have better control and better understanding with this. So let me get this back.
Right. Thanks, Destiny. It was really great. And then, like Destiny was mentioning too, I believe Jace shared a link where there's a Storylane tour where you can go and take that real quickly. It'll show you how to get set up, a few different examples of what you can do with it, and then help get you started. But of course, if you do have any sort of extra questions outside of the webinar time, feel free to reach out to us at support@domotz.com, and we'll have that up at the end. But moving on from RBAC and into device profiles, what did we hear? Well, you wanted to standardize and simplify device configuration across your networks, and we get this one big time. So one true question that actually popped up in our conversations was, you know what grinds my gears? And that's always a difficult one to hear and respond to. But what was grinding their gears was just device management in general, and configuring properties across more than one was really difficult in Domotz. So we've improved on that. So instead of wasting valuable time that often leads to mistakes, we can now introduce a new solution called device profiles that can help you deal with that kind of wild shift in device management that creates confusion and then troubleshooting nightmares when things aren't properly configured. So in the real world, you didn't really have a way to create and apply device settings or properties in bulk, so everyone was suffering with tedious manual work. Boo, right? Device settings were wildly drifting across teams, sites, and even your customers too, which was not a great experience for you or them. And then those operational risks and compliance headaches just keep getting worse, like we were discussing with RBAC. And then you had trouble scaling these configurations as your networks and the device counts naturally grew too. So I know you're wondering again, Antonio, what's the deal with all this white space? Nothing. You just get real white space this time. But does all of this sound pretty familiar though? We know, we get it. RBAC and device profiles are not the same thing. They're completely different workflows in nature, but they're designed to do 4 things. Again, for you, we want to provide a better experience to your customers if you're an MSP. We want to provide a better experience to your employees so we're less frustrating to use. And we want to provide a better experience for you and your team so you can stay focused on what you're doing and what you do best, and we just stay out of the way, right? And that's what we want for the optimal experience. So we've introduced device profiles, which allow you to create standardized templates once and apply them across one or thousands of the devices that you manage so you can reduce that workload that you have and then drop that error count down nice and low and then keep your environments consistent. So again, 4 ways. 4 is the magic number for today, in case you're wondering. And no, this is not Sesame Street. But profile management, you can create, edit, clone, and assign these templates at will. You can make them very modular, so you can only pick and choose what modules you want. So if you only want specific SNMP credentials on or different sensors activated in reporting, you can do that. And then you can bulk apply them to as many devices as you like. So if you want to do it by type for switch, access point, etc., you can do that. And then you can leverage our automation and APIs too to help you scale with that. But what should you expect from device profiles? Well, again, this is kind of like the misnomer here. You want to save time by standardizing. You want consistency. You want to gain visibility and control. You want to grow with confidence so you can stay future-proofed. It's asking for a lot, but it's not, right? It should be standard, and that's what we're trying to introduce here. But in long, Destiny will head over to you in a second for this. What should you expect, right? I think it's fair to say that you don't want to be manually configuring one device over and over and over and over again. So we want to make sure that you can do that quickly, stay nimble, stay agile, and then apply things freely across, say, like 50 devices, right? And then once you have that, that's just a template for every other device that comes into that network, right? So you can save time and a lot of time, and you can stay focused on the things that actually generate you revenue, which is very important if you're a business, right? Or it helps you stay ahead if you're not running the business and you're an internal IT team. So Destiny, a little bit more detail. Are you willing to provide that based on your own experience?
No. Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely. So standardization is how you're going to be able to be compliant. It also allows you to understand quickly when you're looking at things, what is actually happening, how did it get applied, who applied it, things of this nature that can come across there. So consistency is key for making sure that it's compliant, because when I was a network engineer, my first question, and I know that we all know this, is what changed? Like, what is coming across here, right? Same thing for device profiles. If we're losing connectivity, if it's not under an actual alert that should have been alerted upon, if there's things like this that is coming across there, I can quickly look at a profile and be able to say, where is it supposed to be applied? How is it being applied? What is the expectation? So that I can keep things compliant and consistent, because that is how you're able to find that needle in a haystack quickly when there's problems that's going across. And I think the main thing too with device profiles is it's not about like, hey, is this like improving like my monitoring capabilities on alerts? This is helping you to actually use your monitoring tool so you can actually have those alerts. So you can actually have that SNMP information. Make sure that you're configuring your devices correctly. It allows you to quickly be able to set up your environment so that you're monitoring and managing to your fullest. Because one of the things that I see a lot of the times is out of the box monitoring. I'm going to sit there, I'm going to have my out of the box monitoring. I have it, set it, forget it. And then when something comes to it, they get upset about their monitoring tool, right? Like, oh, it missed a bandwidth issue. Oh, it missed a buffer load issue. It missed a device connectivity issue. And when you go in there, it's usually the thresholds are 80, 90. Didn't have anything of which that was there because it was out of the box. You didn't adjust it. If a device has 30% CPU and all of a sudden it's at 80%, don't you think you should have known that when it was at 40? I mean, like, there's things that we should be using, and we need to massage and be able to be into those monitoring tools so that they're working for us, so that we're proactive, not against us, or not a nice to have. And that's something that I hear a lot of the times of, as you're like, well, it's nice to have and I have it up so if I do have a problem. Well, why are you searching for a problem in a monitoring tool? You should know a problem. because you should only have an alert that's going to be as something that is actionable, right? Like that's what I need my alert. What is actionable? What is the playbook for that when that alert goes off? Have you ever thought of that? Like, do we have an internal playbook for our monitoring tool? These are the things that we need to talk about. This is how it's going to allow you to grow quickly, especially if you're an MSP. How do I grow quickly with my other customers? Well, if I have a profile and it's for a vertical that is actually healthcare versus bank, I can start there. Does this profile meet this new customer's need and apply it? Right? I can clone it. Like, what are the things that I'm going to do here? How can you use your profiles to help you understand how to bring up customers to a better monitoring and management situation so that you're not sending trucks out all the time? You know, you can use comparatives on your verticals and be like, all right, well, these healthcare systems, they're actually want us to be available for 4 or 5 things, right? Like those are the things that we need to do. But this healthcare system is new and not sure. Give them the advice. You have people in that vertical. Now you're able to do that, right? So you're future proofing your operations because you're actually able to have things that are going to be consistent. You're going to be able to apply based upon. If people have network environments that are similar, one works better, one doesn't. Let's check these things out. But now we also have a profile that we can keep consistent so that we can adjust those alerts. We can adjust those screens. We understand how they're using their network so that we can then be proactive in our monitoring as well as managing of them to make sure that we're doing a good service for them, whether that's internal IT or an MSP. I want these networks to run correctly, but I need to make sure they're set up from the get-go to be my proactive monitoring and management.
And I think that's an amazing example of having a tool in hand, but finding different uses for it. And we call this internally, it's kind of like the screwdriver effect or a drill. So you pull out the drill when you need to do the job and it gets a job done. Do you get excited about it? Maybe because things are done and over with, yes. But do you think about the drill after? Probably not. It just goes back in the box, back in the bag, in the closet or garage, and that's it until you have to use it again. But if you think outside of the box and start thinking of what you can create out of this, you can open up a lot of different avenues to improve your business or improve your own workflows, like Destiny was just mentioning on. But in case you didn't learn anything from there, we have another science fiction reference that we're going to drop. And I know someone called me a nerd in the chat. Appreciate it. But learn from the Forerunners in Halo. So how can we possibly link Domotz to this? Easy. When the ancient Forerunners in Halo, long before humanity exists now, built the Halo array, they didn't configure each thing manually. They created one perfect template. So they had details, environmental settings, containment protocols that we talked on a little bit earlier, and they applied all of these specifications and properties across every installation /ring/device in the galaxy. Sound kind of familiar? Well, it's just device profiles 550 years from now, or 532 years from now. So you create once, you apply to every single device, and then you stay consistent. Yes, I know, if you've played the games, yes, they did wipe out all sentient life in the galaxy, but the rollout was seamless. Can you imagine having that level of efficiency in your organization where you can do that at will? But if you can't, well, guess what's coming? Another demo from Destiny to show you how to get started. So Destiny, if you don't mind.
I feel like it's like the demo gods are like working for me so far after we increase the screen there. I'm like, I'm gonna give all of the credit to the demo gods, right?
It's the Forerunners.
All right. So, and again, if you guys are having trouble seeing this, please let me know because I left it up there, but I just want to make sure. All right. So on profiles, as I said, think of it more of, these are predefined configurations for your monitoring system, which is going to come across there. It is also like a template, right? Like I'm applying and I'm laying it across there, right? So that everything is consistent that comes across here. So when I'm looking at these, you can see existing profiles. The great thing again is, hey, if somebody is like, hey, these devices, my firewalls are not working right, like something is going across here, very easily be like, all right, well, let me look at the profile that went across there. I can go to my credentials. I'll be able to see what version in which they're using. I can change my SNMP on here as well. then I can apply it, right? And then it's going to ask you, do you want to override it? Do you want to actually just add to it? Things like that that's coming across here. And I'll show you that button because as I'm talking, anyway. So it's like, what are we wanting to do, right? So you have the ability of like, maybe you need to apply an SNMP credential to 4 of the devices, but the other 10 are still on the original one that you had. Great, because you can actually either overwrite it or you can add to it, and it's going to apply it to the ones of which that it needs the new update for, right? So think of it that way. Is it all, or is somebody going to grab that SNMP credential itself? I can see the modules of which that are across here. I can have filters here, and these filters, as we can see, we can set up custom filtering within here so that we can say, hey, you know what? I want to call this, fruit fly, or whatever I'm wanting to do as a custom filter that I can actually get into here. And then I can go in and do device name, model types, IP addresses. I was seeing this in the actual chat earlier, so I wanted to make sure I touched on this. So I can actually set up filters based on device type, IP addresses, serial numbers, organizations. If I do a custom filter name itself, these are the things, this is how I'll be able to apply that and to get that to come across. So I want to make sure I hit that since somebody was talking about it in chat. So when I want to add a profile, obviously I can name it. And I was going to say, like, I was going to put Halo references in here for you, Antonio. I can apply that filter that we were talking about here. I can add it to a description. Why? Because when I'm looking at those view details, I can put on here firewalls, switches, blah, 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 like whatever I'm wanting to group these as. Like I can be like Halo, Fallout, like whatever I'm wanting to talk about here, so that I have a quick reference when I'm viewing these, have an understanding of why it was created and what it's applied to without having to maybe go all the way into it. So then I can say, like, what kind of a device type do I want this to come across? I can search, I can change, I can do what I'm wanting to get. I love the game consoles that we have. I can save the zones. I can actually update this information in here so it's applied, right? That's that compliance that we were talking about. I can set up credentials that's going to come in here. I can say, let's include them. I can change. I can actually go through here and set up my credentials of which that I want to do. And as you can see, that it's a very lovely credential. It's totally acceptable in the security world, right? But I can change these out and I can get these to apply, right? And I think that that's something that we have had people ask for before because we were able to do it at a collector level, but now we can actually apply it to the devices themselves in categorization so that you have them. I know like a lot of people have multiple SNMP credentials, and it's because firewall team, or it's because different user groups, different customers, different organizations, like there's plethoras of reasons why we have different SNMP community strings. And so we need to be able to have that ability to apply them. And that's something that we really wanted to make sure that we focus on as Domotz, is helping you get up and running, right? Again, using your monitoring tool and your management tool to the best of its ability. We can go into shared alerts. You can actually say, do I want to include them? Do I want to overwrite them? How do I want to add them from within here? So then you can make sure that you can create a shared alert that is applied specifically to the actual profile, which is going to your filter devices, to the ones of which that you're wanting to have that they are applied to. You can check your SNMP. How is it going? You can actually do TCP as well. If I wanted to come in through here and add some sensors, I can add SNMP sensors on here. Like, maybe I'm wanting to get more granular information out of my temperature files. If I'm going to get temperature off of some UPSs, or if in a room, or any of my IoT devices, like I can start to get this information in here. Then I have an actual template that I can apply it to. And then that's when I can actually apply the profile, and it will be applied against your settings and against the filter out of which that you have. So again, if you are wanting to have, and we even let you know, like, hey, did you know you were setting this up and didn't apply it? Let's go ahead and get those applied. I can clone it if I want to make it a change and just kind of adjust some things that's going across there. So these are some of the things that we are trying to allow to make it easier, because once we have a compliant monitoring system, it's working for you. You are being proactive. You are able to have better monitoring dashboards. You are better to have better integrations, right? You're able to have easier setup time so that when that alert comes in, you know what to do and you know the expectation because it was actually set up correctly. Again, I'm one of the ones that will tell you, like when I come in, and I've had multiple of you from some of the webinars that I've done just this past 6 months who have reached out to me to have me look over your Domotz and to look over some of your guys's setups. And as I've gone into them, it's out of the box, basically, right? Like it's like up, down, great. And then as soon as I just start making some tweaks, I have had a lot of people that are just like, oh my gosh, like it's actually shown me a problem. And I was like, any tool will, right? Like that's the thing. You have to be in your monitoring tool. You have to be in your management zone. You have to understand when that alert goes out, what am I supposed to do? And the techs need to understand that. So I'm always about playbooks for your techs as well as for anything that comes through there so that they understand why it's coming in. They get into the tool and it's not a needle in the haystack. Allow your monitoring and management tools to work for you because that's how you're going to be able to have the value out of them. That's how you're going to look like a superstar when you're rocking things out and being able to get them fixed quickly because you're no longer waiting or trying to figure out or frustrated, right? And you're like, just go there, right? Like just load up the truck, just go out there. No, be able to understand it. Use the tool to VPN and fix the problem if you're able to fix the problem through there. Like we give you so many options to be able to do things from the actual tool, but you need to be able to work with the tool and understand what you're monitoring and why so that you can actually make those better decisions.
Couldn't have said that better myself if I tried and practiced that too. Thanks, Destiny. A cool thing too to keep in mind is if you've already configured some device that will say like a 24 port network switch, and you have one crown jewel of a device that you really like the setup for, you can actually just create a whole template or a device profile right from that device too, and then apply it for all the future ones as well. So you can get really granular with this, and then you can even speed things up even at that level. So jumping into the next section. So a quick recap of some other things that have come out recently in Domotz. So Network Topology has had a visual refresh and alert dependency is finally here. So we've launched a few more things that you should know about. And you probably do already know if you've been checking your emails. So another quote from a customer, I love the network topology view, but it could use a tiny facelift. And after seeing myself in this tiny screen, yeah, probably same. But for now, let's talk about the visually improved network topology. As you can see right away, it looks a lot cleaner, more modern, more functional too, just by how it's been visually improved. So color-coded devices are here, so you can distinguish between different device types. You can trace full upstream paths with new highlights, and then added indicators so you can check heartbeat loss, online, offline status, and then the number of status changes right away. The controls are much smoother. Now there's also a modern design, so better filtering, legends, and panels. Much simpler view, so it's more intuitive, visually appealing, so you can explore your network and device relationships.
A lot of people use this as a doc. Just going to say that. A lot of people use this as a view that they can actually see holistically at what's going on and drill into it. But also, one of the major things that I love is that people forget, and we do get a lot of questions on, you can export this to Visio. You can export this in different files. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that because I know that we get a lot of questions on that. I just want to make sure that you knew.
Yeah, exactly. And another quick question for everyone. Do you have a headache right now? Is it caused by using Domotz with ConnectWise PSA and or HaloPSA? Well, we've brought the Tylenol for this situation. It's called alert dependency, and we have had people screaming about this one for a long time, and we're so happy that it's here. Now you can automatically detect the relationship between devices on the network based on their hierarchy. So we call this parent and child ticketing. So if you have a bunch of devices connected to one access point, router, or switch, and you're getting notified for every single 45 devices that have gone down, right? We tidied that up now. So the tickets are bundled together in ConnectWise PSA and HaloPSA now. So you're welcome. We understand that that one was a little bit of a headache, but we're hoping that we can ease the pain here. But now, a few new things that are coming up before Q&A. We're introducing our new Domotz office hours. First one is going to be November 13th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. That would be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're on my time zone. And it's hosted by our very own Destiny Bertucci. If you want to join, you can ask your questions directly, receive real-time support that we're not going to charge you for. We've heard that that's a thing. And then you can share your ideas to help improve your experience, and which is kind of why we're here today. So don't miss this chance to tune in and be part of the conversation. So double check our social media. If you're not following us already, keep an eye on your emails for any sort of invitations and register for that. And there were a few comments about this today. The new Domotz box is finally coming. And I know, let's look at the right-hand side. The Domotz box kind of looks like one of those Star Wars droids, if we're keeping the references going. I know I may look the same, but it's what's on the inside that counts, right? So we've introduced a faster, more efficient CPU. So 64-bit, it's quad-core, it's the A53, 1.5 gigahertz. You can do a little bit more with this. Doubling up on the RAM, so 1 gig. And then stronger security, which is probably the part you really care about too. AES XTS, RSA, and then does have support for ECC. And the big complaint was stop giving us devices with micro USB. We don't want that. Well, Type-C is coming. It's a modern standard. It's reliable. And you don't have to play the game of just trying to rotate the cable all the time. And for those that thought that they were heavy, which they're not, we're reducing the weight down to 114 grams. So if you're an ant by chance and you're having a hard time lifting this should help. It's a little bit more ergonomic. Actually, I lied. It's the same enclosure. It's a little bit lighter though. And then finally, there were comments about this too today. Custom tags. So we're now introducing pretty soon simple labels or keywords you can finally append to different entities for categorization, organization, and filtering. So you can now have a lightweight and flexible way to now label resources without requiring a kind of like a predetermined framework that we force upon you. It's not going to be a thing. So what? Quick identifiers that help you categorize and group resources efficiently. It's going to be flexible, so they're freeform. You can apply them across pretty much anything, so such as devices, sites, collectors, different interfaces too. And then, for example, you can set up a tag for high priority items, customer XYZ. I just outed myself as a Canadian, so Z. And then test equipment, importance level of say like low, medium, high, or critical. Super amazing. And we're just trying to give you a little bit more flexibility beyond being constrained to like predefined properties within Domotz, and then help you with difficulty in dynamically grouping these things based off like your own custom attributes. So a little bit of a sneak peek there. We hope that this is super exciting for you. And we're near the end of the presentation, so we really hope you had fun with us today here. We know that this is kind of a departure of the usual style. We'll try to change up the references later, depending on how many people play Halo or not. But we've had Chris fielding questions for a little bit now in the chat. We still have a few minutes. So if you don't mind, we'll bring Chris in and we can answer any of your questions. Hello, Chris.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
We are doing well. I'm going to answer for everyone, right?
Oh, yeah. So we see a lot of people talking about custom tags. And so one of the things that I wanted to say, because earlier when I'd seen one of the questions was, yeah, we're going to have that filtering availability of like kind of like what Antonio was talking about. And Chris has been working so hard on some of this stuff. But Chris, if you want to give kind of like a high level of how that interacts, because I think there's a little bit more you can do with tags that people might not be thinking about since RBAC as well as profiles is so new.
Yes, as far as what we're working on with custom tags currently is essentially just being able to create any custom tags that you'd like for the devices, apply one or more custom tags to the devices themselves, including those in your custom filters as well. Being displayed in the inventory, searching on the inventory on the devices list. So essentially incorporating those into all areas, including your, custom filters also, apply, of course, on your monitoring tables. So being able to fine tune the devices that you'd want to select for displaying the monitoring tables as well. With RBAC, of course, we've also going to be introducing the restrictions for custom tags as far as who can, create, update, delete, or apply the custom tags. There's, of course, restrictions on, actually including them in the custom filters because that can impact other areas like your monitoring tables. But we will be releasing this at the end of November. And of course, once we do, make use of it, and reach out with any feedback you have on any additional improvements that you'd like to see.
Yeah, and I seen where somebody was like, I'm assuming you can apply the custom tags via the new profiles.
Yes, that will be part of the release as well. So that just as, whether it's zone, location, device type, the device tags will be included as part of profiles to be able to bulk apply those.
And then we had another one on tags because it's very popular. People have been waiting for it. Is will it show up in the topology, or is that something else that would be later on?
That'll be later on. We are working on enhancements that we can make in the topology to better identify devices and how we can surface the tags on the topology. Of course, if you select an individual device in the topology, the device details tab it will show you the tags there. We just don't have a plan right now to show them on the map itself. But yeah, suggestions are welcome, but that could also get a little bit overwhelming. So potentially options is to show and hide the tags or something along those lines is what we're looking into.
Yeah, and Justine said that even the old model can apply these new features. Absolutely, on the Domotz box. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that and that you knew what the yes went to, since we can't directly say. But yes, the new features are going to be available even if you have the old Domotz box, of which that is there. Does anybody else have any questions that is there? And do you have any suggestions, funness of which that you would like from Antonio? Because he's trying to keep this a little fun, and he was testing out his comedic little funness there, I guess you could say, a little stand-up comedian today. So we were hoping you had a little change up there and had some fun with us.
Yeah, we appreciate all the support on this too. Obviously, it's a bit of a different format, but we wanted to keep things engaging, a little bit less serious and more celebratory as we try to bring things, to the market that you've been asking for a while. So I want to iterate again that we appreciate all of the feedback. It doesn't go on deaf ears here. And I see that we have potentially another question too.
Yeah, so Matt put on there, I was talking to Justine, but so Matt said any export import available for the old box to the new box. So the great thing is that when you have your collector and it's in your account, if you get a new box, you will be able to sign in with your account and you'll be able to deploy that out again and be able to bring that information in. So shouldn't be too hard to be able to set up because the settings and everything will be on your account. The collector would then take over to be able to use and to go across there as a new, since it's the collector itself in the box. All right, what else do we have here? We need to be able to assign devices from one collector to different organizations. So Joel, if you want to explain a little bit more on that one. So if you're wanting to assign devices from one collector to different organizations, so is it within the same collector, or are you trying to assign collector or devices from collector to collector? See if he'll trying in there. So if you're within there and you're trying to go ahead.
I was just going to chime in. I think you're referring to the organization tag, which is currently associated at the collector level. Yeah. So that is a collector level property. So really the main use case for that is I've got a customer. They've got multiple collectors in different environment and different sites or on the same site. So I want to be able to associate those collectors together. But if you're looking then at specific devices, I think that's probably where device tags can come into play, so that you can assign device tags based on customers and divvy those up that way underneath a single collector.
Very nice. Very nice. Hopefully that helps Joel and Andrew, because Andrew was definitely with Joel on that one. All right, do we have any more questions? I really do think that we should have a full focus on Halo and game lore. That would be great.
You guys want to hear more? We've got 1 more minute.
Uh-oh, he's got more.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we want one more fun fact? I think we can sprinkle something in. But if you want more Halo, take a look at the story lane tours for RBAC specifically. There's a few different references that you might catch based about Halo or based on Halo. There's a few Cortana references and what happens when you don't give AIs the right level of permissions. That's a whole plot of Halo 5, which I think everyone's forgot about, including the developers of that game. But It's 10th anniversary of that, I think 2 or 3 days ago. So if you haven't played it, go play it. But most importantly, go play with the new features. Let us know what you think. And then if you can, send us an email once you're done trying them out at support@domotz.com, or reach out to the three of us via our emails or on LinkedIn. We can get you kind of into a one-on-one space where we can get your feedback and learn how you're using it, and then see how we can make, even more changes or cool updates to help make things a little bit easier for yourselves, your customers, or organizations, right? Good segue from Halo, right? But I think that's about it for today. I think we're right on the time mark here, exactly 1 hour, so you couldn't rehearse that any better, right? But again, guys, if you don't mind signing off, I appreciate it. We appreciate all of your time today. Looking forward to the next one too. It's been your most recent Q4 2025 Domotz download. Well, I guess on our point of view, it's an upload because we're giving you the information to download. So like tomato. But thanks again, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day and go play some Halo.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.